Hello, it's Chandler Klebs, and today I want to talk about how I came to see my causal will. Now, that is the title, if I remember correctly, of the first episode of George Ortega's podcast and show about how he came to see his causal will. And another way to translate it is, how did I come to understand that free will is an illusion and that my will is causal or deterministic? And what I want to do is I want to explain briefly how I came to understand that there's just too many things that are not up to me to believe in free will. Because as people will know, if they've known me in my life, and if they have read my blog or seen some of my previous videos, they will know a few things about me. They may know that my name is Chandler Klebs. They may know that I work at Hy-Vee. They might know that I grew up with just my single mother who raised me. But there's some things they may not understand. Well, actually, they may understand that I'm against abortion. They may understand that I am vegan. They may understand that if they've been paying attention. But I want to explain how it is that the abortion subject, what kind of happened with that. See, any pro-lifer out there who is heartbroken about the abortion issue will probably understand what I'm about to say. I wanted to do anything I could to reduce suffering. I don't like anybody suffering. I don't like people being hurt. I don't like people being killed or in pain. And that desire really is the foundation for my pro-life views. The idea that I don't want someone to suffer. I don't want a baby to be torn apart. I don't want a woman to be raped either. And I want people to understand that just because I am against abortion, as I see it as, I see abortion as murder, as killing of, an innocent human being, as I'm sure many pro-lifers will tell you. But that doesn't mean that I'm without some understanding or compassion about the causes that basically force women into it. And here's what I mean. Ultimately, I don't think anybody really chooses abortion. Not really. And this is part of the whole thing about understanding that free will is an illusion. Because when you look at it, babies don't choose to die. It's not like they get a choice and it's like, let's see, I have a choice between I could either be killed or I could not be killed. But do the unborn get that choice? No. I don't think anyone argues that the unborn choose to die. Now, somebody might think that, but I don't agree. But I also don't really think that mothers choose to abort their children. And you might disagree with me heavily on that, but here's the way I look at it. What put that woman, that mother, into the situation where she would consider, having her child removed and killed? And I look at it and I think, I don't think that's something that any sane person does. I don't believe that somebody chooses that. What I'm saying is I don't believe that a woman chooses of her own free will to get pregnant or to abort her child, because I'm saying there are causes. And this is very important to understand, because I really want people to understand that there is such great relevance to this question of abortion. Because people, they argue about, when life begins, or whether abortion should be legal or illegal. And I'm pretty sure that everyone knows how I feel about it, because I've talked about it a lot. But what I want to do is, I'm not going to talk in this video about what I think about that. Instead, I want to ask the audience, whoever's watching this video, I want you to think about this. Now, if a woman is forced into a situation, like, economic situations, or the fact that she was raped, if she basically did not choose to be pregnant, if she did not really choose to kill her child, because especially if she wanted the child, but she was forced to abort the child. And I think about it, well, people think, well, is that possible to force someone to kill someone? And I'm like, well, this situation of a woman having to, you might say, choose between her own life and that of an unborn child that is inside her. Well, it's not the only situation where there's two people at stake here. And I look at it and I think, well, let's say that a person shoots somebody, because somebody is holding a gun to their head and saying, well, you better obey me when I kill this person. You better obey me by killing this person as I command you to, or I'm going to kill you. And so, look, if the woman believes that her life is in threat, it is in danger, that this woman basically is put into a situation where, because of society, because of its messed up standards, she feels like she has to choose between either her own life being lost or the life of her unborn child. I mean, when you look at it in these terms, the idea that one of two people is going to die, and let's say that you're given a choice. Well, here's the deal. I mean, come on, what kind of a choice is that? Is that a choice? Because if you do something because you feel like you have no choice and you're pressured into it by society, I mean, is it a choice? And I want to find some common ground with the pro-choice side, because even though you don't really stand a chance of convincing me that abortion is somehow empowering to women or the right thing. I mean, that's ridiculous. But the point is, I want to get the message across that I am not saying that the unborn baby or fetus or whatever you call it, I don't care what you call it, I am not saying that its life is necessarily more valuable, more important, more relevant than the life of its mother. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that also, I'm not saying that the mother's life is necessarily more valuable. Although the mother may think its life is more valuable. I mean, pronouns. Anyway, that's an example of how I don't have free will. I can't say what I'm trying to say. But ultimately, I just want to get the message out that, I understand that people have to make what are so-called hard choices. But, if they had a choice, if they had free will, if they were omnipotent or all-powerful, they would probably choose to not be given that choice. And so, my thing is, I don't believe that ultimately women who, have abortions, especially post-abortive women. And this is a message for the post-abortive women of the world. Like, regardless of what I or somebody else may think about whatever you did in the past, whatever your reasons were for aborting, ultimately, I feel bad for you that you were placed in that situation where you felt like you had to make a choice. And perhaps if you could have done otherwise than you did, then why didn't you? Maybe you couldn't. Maybe it wasn't your choice to be in a situation where you had to make the choice. And is that a choice? If you're forced to make a choice, is it a choice? And I'm just being honest. I'm just saying how I feel, but I just want people to understand that, yes, I have great compassion, understanding of the suffering that women go through. And ultimately, I believe that what I'm wanting to do is I want to talk to the men. Because ultimately, if men were not putting women into the situation where they have to either basically kill somebody else or they're going to be killed. If men wouldn't put women in that situation, there probably wouldn't be so many abortions. And so ultimately who's making the choice? Is there a choice? The baby doesn't get a choice. I don't think the mother is really getting a choice. Now, everyone else may debate about whether there's free will and whether the man has a choice. But ultimately, that's not the biggest deal. I mean, this is clearly the free will and determinism debate has relevance to everything that goes on in this world. And my thing is, really? Even if men had free will and could have chosen otherwise than what they did to put a woman in a bad situation, if they could have done otherwise, why didn't they? And I'll let you think about that, but ultimately, this is something that I think about and something that I'm more than willing to discuss with someone. I'm more than willing to calmly, peacefully try to understand your position on abortion. What do you think about it? So, I don't know if I'll get any comments or if anybody is willing to consider what I've said, but I'll leave you with this before I shut this video off. If you're forced to make a choice, is it a choice?